Well, good morning. It's uh, it's Grandpa Ricky again, and today's Saturday here at Casa Perfecta, and it's a beautiful day, absolutely stunning. And maybe you can hear some weed whackers, and all the grasses in the meadow are being cut today because of the fire risk. So it may be a bit of a buzz. And I guess what I want to share is that the older I get, the more precious every moment uh, is to me. And this morning, I, uh, I I read the little spiritual quotations, and one of them was about morality and doing what's right. Uh, it's like stopping at a stop street in the middle of the night, uh, or paying my taxes, uh, or doing something that I don't like doing because it's the right thing to do. And and sometimes June gets pretty upset with me, uh, especially around money. I tend to give it away. If I've got enough, then to keep us going, then if somebody needs some, I try to give it to them, and that's why I want to make a lot of money, so I could give it away. Because I think that all businesses, all corporations, they don't exist for making money for people to keep and to use on stuff just for themselves. You got to use some on yourselves, but it's really important to give it away, to keep it in circulation. And it was lovely to have that reminder this morning. And I also I have a group of photographs, and every day I just reach in and I pick a photograph. And today I picked a photograph of my friend Lauren Smith, and he's been one of my major teachers, and his spirit still comes to me, and I have him inside me, and he teases me and helps me do the right thing. And then I drew this little divination card of a dragonfly, and its little reminder was confront denials. What am I in denial about? It also says break through illusions, and it also says honor my own truths. Those are big messages. And you know what I do is I shuffle I have a gong, a bell, the Franny bell, and it sits on top of these cards, and I ring the bell, and that brings Franny in. And and Jesus comes in sometimes, and Muhammad, and all these great spiritual influencers of spiritual life. And then I drew this card on the Thoth deck with my other major teacher, Angela Zarian, her commentary on this card, and it's called Dominion, and it's called the Two of Wands, and it really helped me this morning realize that this is a time for me to put energy into my dreams, This is a time for me to build spiritual energy and to use my energy. Um, and I've been going through this thing where I'm realizing the importance of keeping spiritual energy up. Like I have bare feet on the ground right now, and it's a little damp. And I can feel this life energy coming up from the earth. And I feel very alive and very happy. Even though there's so many things going on with my body that are like, and I'm getting help. I've noticed too that whenever there's a problem, the solution to that problem is pretty close by. I was taught that by poison oak, poison ivy, and I had a group of children out on a hike, and they got ahead of me, and they crawled up a hill, a lot of them, that was covered with poison ivy. I found out, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'll have all these kids with poison ivy. They'll never let me take the kids out on a hike anymore. And then I remembered my friend Ambrose Acquenzi had taught me that wherever there's poison ivy, there was also a plant called jewelweed. And I just had to run around and find where the jewelweed was, and then I got all the kids to make a game to see how green they could get any part of their skin and their clothes. And they picked the jewelweed and they crushed it up. It's also called touch me not, and they smeared it over their clothes and on their faces and on their hands and everything. And I've come to realize that the spirit of that plant came into them, and it was the chemicals in the plant, the jewelweed, that neutralized the poison toxic oils of the poison ivy. And when we got back to the school, and the next day I thought, oh God, I'm going to be in trouble. No kid had poison ivy. And so that's been a great lesson, and it's dawned on me that when our energy gets low, that's when we're susceptible to diseases and unhappinesses and all that kind of stuff. And so I've been using something that my friend Lauren Smith taught me, and that was all these different practices that build your spiritual energy. And there's a plant. I don't want to tell you what it is because there's not enough of it. But just know that there is a plant that can build spiritual energy. And when Lauren would help me, he always talked about, well, your spiritual energy is so low, you've got to build it up. And he had the capacity to give spiritual energy. It was like chi, like life force. And it's funny because today there was something in the little spiritual reading that I did that talked about spiritual energy, and it reminded me about, oh yeah, keep your spiritual energy up. And when I used to go to a lot of Alcoholics Anonymous meetings to help me stop drinking, and I used to drink because my problems were too big. I needed to take a break from my problems. And I think that's why people get addicted, and that's certainly why I'm addicted to a whole pile of things. Coffee, worry, Netflix therapy, all those kinds of things. And when I build my spiritual energy and I get in touch with life and I get grounded and I've had enough sleep and I've had enough food and I've had enough water, I'm not angry, um, and I don't feel lonely. And one of the things that I don't feel lonely is that I've realized that every plant and every rock and every tree and every body are my friends. And so even people that are doing things which bother me, they're my friends too, because they're teaching me, hey, uh, I don't want to I don't want to be a consumer of stuff. I don't want to hoard things. I want to help out. I want to support life, because if I support life, then maybe life will help me stay alive. And all these miracles are happening. My friend Morgan is coming, and he's helping me with a lot of understanding and practices, and to help me become aware of the things that I eat affect me. And so I'm running experiments now. I'm saying, okay, what happens when I eat bread? Oh, this happens. And then, what happens when I eat peanuts? And oh, this happens. And I think that one of the reasons that I have so much mucus is I eat a lot of foods that are mucus producing. My body, they cause infections, or they cause imbalances. And then my body says, hey, stop. And then that creates my body's response to getting rid of whatever it is. So Morgan is a great healer and a teacher and a visionary and a warrior, and he is really helping me see the interconnectedness of things. If I do this, then I get this. Okay, then it's my choice. I like bread. Great. But bread causes me to, it seems, causes me to have a lot of mucus. So which do I want? And maybe there's a time to eat a little bread, because I like the taste of it. The other thing that's been happening for me is I found a new friend, and his name is Albert Nuremberg. And he's a reporter and a filmmaker and a hypnotist and a lephologist, and he's helping me laugh. He has all these exercises to help me laugh. And yesterday I had a session on the virtual thing, and Morgan was part of that, and my friend Pilar was part of it, and Albert was taking me through these laughing exercises, and it just felt great to laugh. It was like, and all these different kinds of laughs. And Moshe Feldenkrais had already taught me that if I smile, it changes everything. Even if I'm unhappy, I'll put a smile, a fake smile, but even faking a smile is enough to kind of shift. And it shifts my worry and stuff and unhappiness up into other parts of my being. So that's this morning's ramble. I hope you have a nice day. I think it's the 23rd of May, 2020. I'm not allowed to go out of the house. Well, I'm free to go out of the house, but I'm choosing not to leave the house, because I still have a lot of things that make it dangerous if I get the virus. And if you or anybody else, just on the virus, know anybody who has had the virus, please ask them what they found helped them stay alive. Because I very much need you to somehow get a message to me. about how you stayed alive if you've had the virus, or how somebody you know has stayed alive. Um, because I might get it, and I want to live a long time. I want to go to my granddaughter's 40th birthdays. You know, that's in another 20 odd years. I'll be 100 and something. But my aunt lived to be 100 and, I don't know, 5 or something like that, and had her wits about her pretty well to the end. And she liked to drink sherry. God, it was fun getting drunk with drunk. I was in an altered state of consciousness, with one little tiny bit of sherry, and she was pushing it back, and she was funny as all get out. And the more sherry she had, the funnier she got. So, and she had to do that because if she didn't have sherry, then she would be very unhappy, and she didn't know how to suffer, and she was ashamed of suffering, and caused a lot of. When you don't like suffering, you cause suffering. When you don't, you're not compassionate with. When I'm not compassionate with my own suffering, then I get to be, so I don't like suffering, and I don't like people who are suffering. And sometimes if somebody's suffering, I see them as weak. And that's part of me sees myself as weak if I'm suffering. And that comes from my ancestors. And it's like, no, suffering is part of life. And it's like, face your sufferings, feel your sufferings. And the funny thing is, when you feel your sufferings, it's like you're dissociating, and then you say, okay, I'm going to come back now. What do I see that I like? So I'm looking at an iris over there, and a young bay tree, and the sun coming through, and the doppled light. And when I inhale, I can smell the trees. And when I'm listening, I'm hearing to these guys who have to work so hard, working in the meadow with the noise and the gas fumes and all that stuff. And I'm sad that they have to suffer, but they're doing it so they can get some money to feed their families. And someday I hope that there'll be enough money, and they won't have to do that just to make money, that they'll want to do that because they want this house and me and June and our neighbors to not have fires. It's a whole different way of thinking. It's like, how can we help one another? That's the most important thing. How can we look after ourselves happily and not take too much? That's important. So that's this morning's rant, and I thank you for watching, and I hope this has been helpful. It's been fun for me to kind of codify it a little bit, and maybe my grandchildren will get a chance to see these, and maybe it'll help them. It'll help them be present and be able to be alive. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day today too, and I hope you're able to be with your suffering and keep going. I have a new favorite saying. I screw it up, so I'll try not to. But my new favorite saying is, keep on staying. No. Oh, golly, I forgot it. But the idea is stay calm and carry on. Stay calm and carry on. Keep on staying calm and carrying on. And wipe up your own crap. Okay, thanks.